For Chinese people, we do not shout out the political correctness slogans all the time. We do not make it a performative action just to show that we support equality.
Hello, 大家好，欢迎回到外面看中国，我是安博然。Hollywood's latest piece of soft propaganda, the Barbie movie, has hit screens here in China. CNN showing off just how out of touch they are with any reality outside of their own narrative, claiming the film gives Chinese audiences a rare look at feminist content. Of course, that's just more fake news, and today I will prove it, sharing some recent examples of girl power with Chinese characteristics that are lighting up screens in the Middle Kingdom today, without the need to overuse feminine stereotypes and the colour pink. We'll also chat with friend of the show Eric Zhong to get his take. This is Reports on China. I'm Andy Boreham in Shanghai. Let's get reporting. Hollywood's Barbie movie opened with a moderate splash in China last weekend, taking $8.2 million and fifth place at the local box office, breaking the film's #1 run in several other countries. Sorry about that. In a moment, I'll bring in Eric Zhong for his take, but first I'll fill you guys in. Now, I just want to quickly first mention that the top film in China last weekend was a much anticipated local blockbuster called Creation of Gods, which is the first in a trilogy. Perhaps unsurprisingly, I was one of the moviegoers who chose the local film over Barbie, which CNN has hilariously claimed represents some kind of rarity in draconian China. Their headline read, "Chinese fans praise Barbie as rare chance to see feminism on the big screen." The article continued, "In recent years, China's box office has been dominated by homegrown movies, often with a nationalist lean, such as patriotic war epics. But this weekend, a different type of film captured national attention, one that's decidedly American and bubblegum pink." Well, first off, the film hardly captured national attention here in China by any stretch of the imagination. But they did get one part right, and that is using the term bubblegum pink to describe feminism in the West today. You see, in China, there is plenty of popular content that highlights girl power and feminism, but they often tend to do so with a more serious and mature tone. But first, let's take a look at why CNN tried to make out that feminist content doesn't exist here in China, and that somehow Barbie was a shining light. If we scroll down to the 7th paragraph, we see that they base their entire article on netizens' comments online, without trying at all to delve into the actual situation here in China. Well, it is CNN after all. They featured this hand-picked comment. "You know, Chinese women don't get many chances to see a high-quality, female-focused movie in the cinema," read one comment with more than 20,000 likes. Now, maybe CNN don't know that we can all read Weibo comments. It's just that when we look ourselves, we can get a much more nuanced picture. Like this comment, which reads, "I'm a girl and I think the movie is average. The stuff in it is a bit superficial, not as profound as those good reviews say. It's not a bad movie, but I'm really disappointed." But since on this show we prefer some actual reality, I thought I'd share some current examples of quote-unquote feminism in Chinese entertainment from right now. First up is a hugely popular TV drama currently on screens in China called Imperfect Victim, which tells the story of a woman's battle for justice in a big corporation after workplace sexual harassment leads to a rape trial. The show is especially popular with Chinese women, and it's hugely topical given some high-profile cases of sexual discrimination, sexual assault, and violence towards women in China. The show, which Variety magazine says is largely presented from a female perspective, has a female director, Yang, and features some powerful women characters like a strong female lawyer who was also a victim of sexual harassment. Next up is a feature film which is currently in cinemas across China and tells the story of a female Chinese politician who fought for, get this, equal pay and the reduction of the gender pay gap way back in 1950s China. Shen Jilan, which is also the name of the film, was born in 1929 and went on to become the world's longest-serving congresswoman, being elected to China's National People's Congress for 65 years in a row. Let's take a quick look at the film's trailer.
女人下地，还哪好功夫？
别让他回！
救我！救我！我叫盛吉兰，在西沟，妇女参加了劳动，家庭地位也变了。
尊敬的主子，我想回到西沟去劳动。我是地里生出来的人，不是办公室做出来的人。我就是个农民，加上有你，心里踏实。
这种苦，你盛吉兰能受，可不代表大家都能受啊！
我就是想知道老百姓现在到底有啥问题需要我们解决。我想实实在在做事。不是西沟离不开我，是我离不开西沟。
Well, very touching, don't you reckon? Now, as you can see, quote-unquote feminist content is actually very, very common here in China. So maybe next time, before CNN and other Western media make such ludicrous claims, like that the Barbie movie is some kind of feminist miracle in China, they should spend some time trying to really understand the situation in this huge country. I'm sure most of you guys would agree that the movie trailer for Shen Jilan, which is still in cinemas across China, shows a much more wholesome and mature representation of the power of women. Okay, now let's have a quick chat with friend of the show, Eric Zhong. Eric, long time no see. First up, I wanted to ask you about so-called feminism here in China and the idea that Barbie might be taken seriously in any way as a representation of girl power. Now, as a Chinese person, I was wondering, what does feminism mean to you?
I mean, I do not really think that the definition of feminism here varies a lot according to different cultures. So I think for most Chinese people, feminism would pretty much mean that empowering women to have equal opportunities as those of men, and enabling them to do things to live out their potential. I suppose feminism here in China would definitely take a development route very differently, yet the definition of it doesn't really change that much according to, I think, the culture.
Interesting. So there's a lot that's the same, but I guess a lot is quite different as well. But as someone who's spent quite a bit of time living and working here in China, I definitely find that women have quite a strong role in work life, just from my experience. Most of my big bosses have actually been women, and they have definitely had my utmost respect. And we all know that famous quote, women hold up half of the sky. So why do you think it is then that some Western media might think that China is somehow void of gender equality?
Well, I think it's very likely because for Chinese people, we do not shout out the political correctness slogans all the time. We do not make it a performative action just to show that we support equality. And I suppose it's also because Chinese people, they just simply do not want to use this as a card to sort of show their personal identity. But of course, I mean, can we do better in terms of gender equality? Yes, I suppose most of the societies in the world would.
Yeah, for sure. And we're definitely not saying China is perfect in this regard. No country is, like you said. So that's why I wanted to ask you, what do you think might be perhaps the biggest issue facing women in China today? And what is something that China could do to improve women's rights, in your opinion?
Just like in many other countries, I mean, women sometimes are discriminated against because they might take maternity leave, and that compromises the so-called productivity for companies, for enterprises. I think that it's something we should get rid of, this discrimination when it comes to employment. And also, in order to create a more conducive or salutary environment for those who would like to have babies in the future. At least the maternity leave can be better designed, and there could be more systematic support physically and also mentally in terms of individual or in terms of family provided for female in our society.
One thing I did notice in China is that maternity leave for female employees is much longer than in many Western countries. Eric Zhong, thank you so much. Well, that will be it for today, you guys. But as always, I would love to hear what you think. Do let me know down below. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.